The Jesuit Blue Jays take the field as the defending state champions for the first time in 54 years. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the first NBC Bank Prep Classic, the renewal of one of the oldest city rivalries here in New Orleans between the Jesuit Blue Jays and the Warren Easton Eagles. Let's meet the newest member of our broadcast team, field reporter Stephanie Altman.
Now, these are two schools that met for the first time in football over a century ago. Back then, this rivalry was so competitive, it turned dangerous when students began throwing bricks through the other school's windows, which is why they ended the rivalry after that 1955 season. However, the schools did meet 4 times since then. The last meeting was in 2004 when Jesuit won 23-0. Both schools' principals signed contracts for this year and next, and I know everyone's excited to see who's going to go home with that win tonight. Ken and Wade, back to you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yes, rivalry is the word. They used to get wild in these rivalries. It's settled down over the years, however, and these two teams have signed a contract to open this year and next year to renew that rivalry, and it's good to see. So Crew Jacobs will kick off as Warren Easton will have the ball first on offense, and the Eagles will have a little bit of running room all the way out to the 40, and a good break. Look out. Here goes the Eagles all the way, and Warren Easton with a nice return by Damian Tate all the way for a touchdown.
I tell you what, got jammed up inside, and he just bounced right to the outside, 80 yards on the turn by Damian Tate. He's one of the guys Warren Easton has that has a tremendous amount of breakaway speed. Tremendous athlete, and he showed his speed right there. What a way to open up the season for Warren Easton with that kickoff return.
Well, a big momentum getter without saying, and Damian Tate looked like on 2 different occasions might be stopped, but turned on that little bit extra and made it happen. Herrera for the extra point. And it is good. And with only 14 seconds gone in this game, Warren Easton leads the Jesuit Blue Jays 7-0.
I'll tell you what, great speed right there. You know, it wasn't a very deep kick by Jesuit, but a great setup blocking by the kickoff return team. You'll be able to see it right here on your view. It's ball down at the 20-yard line. Good coverage. 2 missed tackles right there. He springs to the outside. They lost contain is what happened. The outside guy on a kickoff team usually has contain, and they lost contain. He got sucked inside, and you saw Tate bounce right around him, and he was off to the races. Great return.
Now you're wondering about two teams and who might need and get the little spark. Well, Tony Hull, the Warren Easton head coach, says we just got the spark. Now we've got to do something defensively because this Blue Jay team has a few returners back there that can answer that if we're not on our game.
Well, they've got speed of their own back there, Ken. I'm sure we're going to look up there and we're going to see
Jakari Wiley and Jandon Briscoe.
Right. Jakari Wiley, number 4, and Jandon Briscoe, number 3, 2 starting defensive backs for them. They can get it and they can go also.
Herrera has got pretty good leg if he wants to send it deep. It'll be a short kick, and whistles sound immediately.
Well, the up back put up his hands for a fair catch, and once anybody on the field of the receiving team puts their hands up for the fair catch, they're going to call it dead right there. And I also think they had an offsides by the kicking team, so they're going to kill the ball there also, so they're going to back it up 5 yards.
I think that's the point Mark Sanji was trying to make on the field there. Our referee, you heard and saw him for the first time tonight, is Jim Radcliffe, one of the old pros wearing the white hat.
Well, Jim's been around. I had him many a time. You can see right there Jakari Wiley, one of the speedsters for the Jesuit Blue Jays. He's also an outstanding defensive back.
So after the offset, Herrera will boot it again, this time a much shorter kick. It'll come down to the 31-yard line, and the Jays have a big rugby scrum pushing forward out across the 40 up to the 41, 42-yard line. Might have been Evan Slattery. And it was on the return for the Blue Jays, 11 yards.
What we should see in Jesuit in this first series, guys, is we should see them trying to establish their running game. Tonight, they're going to have to hold on to the ball and maintain clock possession time. Don't want that speedy, high-scoring offensive Warren Easton on the field. So Jesuit will come out. I'm sure you'll see them try to establish their running game with Connor Pruitt, the new running back that took over for two 1,000-yard rushers last year. Charles Jackson and Chris Mills are gone. Now it's Connor Pruitt's time.
Peter Hodges, the quarterback, has had to grow up a lot in 2 weeks since the scrimmage against McDonough 35, and Pruitt tries the left side. Not much, but a few. Let's take a look at some of the players to watch right now for Jesuit's offense and then the Eagles' defense. And we just talked about Kalijah Lipscomb and Malachi Hull. What a receiver he's been for the Blue Jays.
Hey, he's one of those two double receivers that are returning from a really good offense last year. But right there, the name Corey Dublin, a 3-year starter for the Jays on that offensive line.
Cornell Jefferson is one of the defenders and one of the top 40 players in this greater New Orleans area as rated by Sports Nola. Connor Pruitt again trying for the first down, coming up just 2 yards short on the left side. So the Blue Jays face their first third down look early in this game at their own 49-yard line.
Third down is going to be a key conversion point for the Jays tonight. They're going to have to be able to convert on those third downs to be able to stay on course or on the clock from the standpoint of holding on to the football. They've got to stay in front of the chains and get these manageable third downs.
Peter Hodges will back up into the shotgun for the first time. Send a man in motion. He's got some time. Finally, the protection breaks down. A bobble and a catch by Kalijah Lipscomb, and he's brought down short of the first down, however. Didn't get it. Well, wait a minute. Let's see where the mark's going to be.
Linebackers had to kind of bobble the ball. The ball was
the first down. They'll have to unstack this pile. Very hard to tell here. We'll have to wait
on their defensive line. Miles,
because you just never know, but the chains
able to stop the Jesuit run. Jesuit's got to be able to run the
good runner, and he's going to air it out on first down and overthrows.
The country is trying to recruit Clyde Chris. He's one of our key players tonight. He has outstanding speed. He's number 118 on the Rivals prospect list, and he's also with back there in their skill is Joseph Boyd, an outstanding running back, and Tony Branch, the one returning offensive lineman on that Warren Easton team from last year's Dome run.
Second down, 10. And they'll go with the little inside screen this time, and it may get some good yardage. It will. It'll pick up a first down and more with some fancy running. That is Terrence Sylvester for the first down and the big gain. And Warren Easton found a way with a little short pass coming to the inside for 19 yards to Terrence Sylvester.
Common call, the jailbird screen. What ends up taking place is they try to bring the offensive lineman out in front as quickly as they can, run one of the wide receivers behind them, dump the ball off real quickly, and then let the athlete run with the ball. Outstanding performance right there and execution.
You're looking at a team that lost 4 wideouts to Division I football teams last year, and Clyde Chris still turned in good numbers, and they're proving they can run the football too with Joseph Boyd, the senior running back, picking up a good bunch on first down. 8 yards.
A little bit about Clyde Chris. He came off of a meniscus tear last season, where he tore his meniscus in the last regular season game of their year before they started the playoffs. So he had the whole offseason to recover, recoup, and from the film that I've seen on the young man, he's as good as any wide receiver in the city.
Tyreek Starks did not hand it off, kept it himself, and got enough.
I mentioned
for the first down.
I mentioned before the telecast about Tyreek Starks. This young man could have gone anywhere in the city and probably been a starting quarterback. But what he did is he stuck around, sat 3 years behind Deshaun Capers-Smith, and I tell you what, this is his year now.
Boyd tries the left side, and Warren Easton's finding that running behind a very big offensive line that averages close to 300 pounds, they're pushing their way right through that Jesuit defense right now. Tony Branch, 331, Anthony Phillips, 300, Demetrius Ballou, 275, Gary Trenton, 281, and Sterling Brown, 335.
They lost a lot of guys last year. They lost four Division I starters on offense. Deshaun Capers-Smith, who's at Texas A&M, was the Gatorade Football Player of the Year here in the state of Louisiana. Tyron Johnson, who is now at LSU, one of the best wide receivers coming out of that class last year. And
Boyd again for no gain. And that's that list you were talking about right there, Wade. Look at that.
There you go.
This is their D1 signees, including the quarterback Deshaun Capers-Smith and Tyron Johnson over at LSU, the top receiver in the, one of the top receivers in the country. And you see 3 players on this team went to Tulane. Curtis Johnson keeping his recruiting as local as possible in building and rebuilding that Green Wave program. Caught, here's Sylvester. Sylvester inside the 5-yard line.
Little bubble by the inside receiver right there. Tough throw for Tyreek Starks to make sure he puts it right on the money. The timing was real good. Has a nice, really nice pitch and catch right here. And you can see the Jesuit defenders closing in hard. Number 4, Jakari coming up there and making the tackle. Did a good job.
First and goal for Warren Easton with a 7-0 lead, threatening to put a second score on the board. Jesuit defense has to dig in right here. And here's the handoff. It'll be Boyd. Boyd over the right side. He is into the end zone. Touchdown.
Tell you what, quick up 14-0. Little inside zone right there by Boyd. Bounces it right off the edge. The offensive line of Warren Easton did a nice job burying and sealing off the Jesuit defense right there.
Boy, credit Tony Hull, Warren Easton, a nice combination of runs and passes. They mixed it up really, really well.
Well, and that's what they have to do. They have to be able to keep defenses off balance. That's going to also buy time for Tyreek Stark, being a relatively a senior in age, but a young player in years.
Jose Herrera's point blocked.
And years of experience. It'll give him time to mature and come in right there. All right, there was Jakari Wiley on the block right there off of the edge. Great block.
And with the blocked extra point, it's 13-0 Warren Easton as Boyd put the second of 2 early in the game on the board for Warren Easton. Back right after this.
Wow.
Maybe Renee was right. Goodness. An 8-play, 51-yard drive by Warren Easton that took 2 minutes and 45 seconds off the clock and ended up with Boyd's 3-yard run. Gives Warren Easton a 13-0 lead after the blocked extra point. And Jakari Wiley trying to answer for the Blue Jays, and he breaks loose and can't break the last tackle. He almost had it. And Wiley almost took one to the house to answer Warren Easton's early KOR TD.
Well, I'll tell you what, Wiley last year returned a couple for touchdowns, also returned a couple punts for touchdowns, and he almost had that one. Did a great job hitting the seam and going. You can see him catching a line drive kick right here, and then there's the seam and the burst.
44-yard return by Wiley to give the Blue Jays some momentum and great field position at the Warren Easton 39-yard line. So we'll see Peter Hoddes come out for the second time to direct this offense. He'll work on to center. Hand it off. Up the middle goes Kai Rojas as the running back on this series, and Rojas has a nice gain over the left side. Mellow Mushroom will donate 10% of your order, Warren Easton and Jesuit fans, to your school's athletics department through Saturday night. Stop by the Metairie or Covington locations and tell your server and give back to your school this week with the best pizza in town. Mellow Mushroom. Don't forget to be mellow. Rojas again on the carry. Not much for the Blue Jays this time.
Tell you what, nice hit right there on Kai Rojas by Pernell Jefferson. Pernell Jefferson is going to be an Oklahoma Sooner. He is committed to Oklahoma. He's 6'3", 235 pounds. He is one of the better linebackers in the city of New Orleans, and I tell you what, he came up, filled the hole, and stuck Mr. Rosas right there that time.
Now, Pernell Jefferson is number 20 on the Sports Nolo Renee Nadeau Prep Recruiting Insider list for top players in the greater New Orleans area, and he just showed why. Maybe the most talented person on this team as a junior last year, and he's a senior now. This is a water break we're on. We're water break timeout with 5:57 to play in the first quarter, just about halfway through the first quarter.
All right, at 6 minutes into every quarter, the Federation has in the southern states of the United States they call a heat and humidity timeout. Obviously, we all know down here the humidity is a huge factor on these athletes, so they will stop the game at about a 6-minute time point in each quarter and allow the kids to be able to hydrate themselves.
The first NBC Bank Prep Showcase heads to Bay St. Louis, Mississippi next week as Brother Martin visits St. Stanislaus. Watch it live Friday night on SportsNola.com and catch the tape-delayed broadcast next Saturday at noon on WHNO. That's Brother Martin and St. Stanislaus next week on the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase.
All right, first trivia question. St. Stanislaus's person, their nickname, what are they?
Let's see. That is a Kyle Rojas run to the right side. They are the Knights.
No, they're not. They're the Rocketchaws.
The Rocketchaws.
I'll explain later. I'll come up with a corny trivia question every now and then on you, Ken.
Every week you now have to do one. That's it. You have bitten the bullet. You've got to come up with one. In the meantime, the Jays are faced with fourth down right here, and they are 0 for 1 on fourth down conversions tonight. But they're going for it deep in Warren Easton territory at the 33-yard line. Peter Hannes has his play from the sideline. They're going to try the run over the Rojas left side. He's got a push. He won't make it. Flag thrown. Late flag coming in, so hold everything. There's a good shot of Rojas.
Well, you're going to see Rojas splitting time tonight with Connor Pruitt. They're going to be the two guys that are going to do the offensive part of the running game, and they're going to kind of be what Charles Jackson and Chris Mills were last year. They're out there discussing it, and a little bit more on Rojas. The hard worker in the weight room is always in the weight room. Hard to kick him out of there. He spends so much time in there, and that's how he's developed himself into being an outstanding running back.
On the defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Jim Ratcliffe, well, the Warren Easton Eagles had stopped the Jesuit Blue Jays in that late flag on the 5-yard penalty. See if you see it, Wade.
Well, there it is right there. You can see somebody's hands inadvertently come across the face mask. It's only a 5-yard penalty. That's not a personal foul, so they'll tack it on from the spot of the foul, which gives the Jays a first down.
New life for Jesuit, and that might just be the little break they needed right here in this first quarter, all the way down to the 25-yard line. Peter Hannes with play action. Has some time, it breaks down. He's in trouble and goes down back at the 32 for a 7-yard loss.
A lot of pressure on Peter right there. Applied by number 99, Miles Veens, University of Central Florida commit. Also by 98, Jeffrey Holmes right there, putting a lot of pressure. You can see the sack coming up right here.
Veens has got a 345 bench, a 520 squat. You're gonna have to be something special to keep him out of the backfield tonight.
They also brought what we call a gap blitz right into the A gap between the center and the guard by Markel Roby, linebacker, number 21, 5'10", 189 pounds. Helped in on that sack also.
Brings up second down. The Jays will send 3 wideouts to the right side. Hannes works out of the gun. He's got some time. It finally breaks down, and he'll just throw it away.
Warren Easton in man coverage, matching up very well with the wide receivers from Jesuit. They've got to get Rock to the point. Excuse me, Rock. They got to get Peter to the point where that's going to come. Story on that later.
We'll talk about Rock. That's Peter's dad.
That's going to get another later story. But they've got to get the point where Peter can get rid of the ball a lot quicker with the short passing game. He's not standing back there patting trying to get rid of the ball. He's got to get rid of it quicker.
And all Tulane fans are going, we thought that was Rock. Yeah, that's Peter, Rock's son. 0 for 2 on third down conversions. for the Blue Jays. Hasn't gone to that right side with the 3 wideouts yet. He's looking there now. Step up in the pocket, in trouble, caught from behind and spilled back at the 34, falling to the 33-yard line. And Tyron Nash, big number 56.
You know, these guys put a lot of pressure on up front. Jesuit's offensive line is going to have to settle down and be able to protect if they're going to get the ball off. We'll see it right here. Here comes 99, 96. These guys coming right in there with a nice little move. 99, Miles Veen again getting to the point of the pocket of the quarterback. Quarterback tries to step up. He can't go anywhere, and there's Veen right there making the tackle.
Drew Jacobs to punt it away from just inside the 50-yard line. Now, he can reach the end zone. The question is, does he want to try to kick it shallow and make the Eagles call for the fair catch? It'll bounce and take a Jesuit bounce on the 10. Is it kept out of the end zone? No. It is not. It'll be a touchback and come back out to the 20. Jays almost downed it at the 1-yard line. So with that, we'll take a break. 3 minutes and 18 seconds to play in the first. Warren Easton jumps out early on the Blue Jays of Jesuit. 13-0. Welcome back to the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase. Warren Easton and Jesuit, and the Eagles lead by 2 touchdowns and a missed extra point. And on first down for Warren Easton, watch Tyreek Starks. He's dangerous when he runs also, and he'll take this one close to a first down, but he doesn't make it. Again, Tyreek Starks, a senior, had to wait a long time to get his opportunity to play because he played behind Deshaun Capers-Smith, and when you've got a guy like Deshaun Capers-Smith, Mr. Football, how much playing time are you going to get unless you're up by an awful lot?
Well, I looked at film all this week of Tyreek, and I tell you what, I love his delivery. He's got a great arm. He definitely has the range to be able to throw the ball. And right there, he showed his athletic ability by escaping pressure, great feet, and got out of the pocket and made something happen.
After the fake to Boyd, a good keeper by the quarterback, and Starks for the first down.
You're going to hear me talk a lot about it this year, zone read, inside zone read, and that was an example of it right here. You'll see the quarterback ride Boyd right there, rip the ball out, and then run off the edge. And it's an option play, and it's what you're seeing all around the country now, not only at the high school level, the quarterback level, but it is filtering into the pro level now also.
Great point.
Running some sort of option play like the zone read, it's able to make the...
Was very close to the first, but ended up running backwards back to the 39-yard.
Hit it and split it. Where does he go? He goes east and west, and you can see a good...
The first quarter at Tad Gormley Stadium, City Park.
Great pursuit by the linebacking core.
Maybe 3rd and 1, you got a different look. Instead, he takes it, as you said, horizontal. It becomes 3rd and 5. Credit the Jesuit defense for that. And now they face the punting situation.
Can't play east and west on a north and south field.
So back to punt is Travis Barnes. And it's a snap, gets the punt off. It'll get a great Warren Easton bounce on this one, and the Eagles are quickly down there, so there'll be no return by the Blue Jays as Warren Easton downs it at the 11-yard line. So a great punt and roll, gets 50 yards on the punt with a great Eagle roll on that one. Monday on WHNO Sports, it's the season premiere of Sports NOLA TV. Hall of Famer Ricky Jackson, Brian Ellie Walsh, and host Ken Trahan break down the Saints college and prep action. That's Sports NOLA TV each Monday at 6 here on WHNO TV 20.
I don't know if you noticed this, Ken, from last year. Jesuit has changed the color of their helmets. They were in a blue helmet last year, and they've gone to all white hats, bringing back the blue traditional J on the side of the helmet. I think it's a very neat, crisp look for the Jays.
I like the look, and to me, who grew up in the city of New Orleans, this is the Jesuit look that I'm more familiar with right here. Toss on first down. And it's caught by Connor Pruitt out of the backfield.
Peter looks downfield, decides to check off to the bubble, which Connor Pruitt was running the safety bubble out of the backfield, makes a nice catch and gets vertical down the field. Look, and dump it off now to the screen bubble right there off of the backfield.
That brings second down and 8. Otis working out of the gun. Will hand it off. Connor Pruitt has the first down over the right side, and that's what Jesuit needed. Just a little bit of a spark right there as dusk falls over Tad Gormley Stadium.
Well, it's the inside zone right here. You can see bang, bang, and he works right up inside under the kick-out block right there by the backside guard up off the play. That was Cameron Mayo on a great block.
Do what they do. Listen to what they say, all right?
Well, that's the end of the first quarter here at Tad Gormley, and it's been a good one. Warren Easton by 2 touchdowns and a missed extra point over the Jesuit Blue Jays, 13-0 after 1. Today's game is presented by First NBC Bank, providing real customer service and relationship banking. Now with 35 locations throughout Southeast Louisiana and the Florida Panhandle. First NBC Bank, member FDIC. We are set for a second quarter action here at Tad Gormley. Jesuit Blue Jays with the football. Good shot of Peter Hodges, the quarterback. And he's got to direct the drive down this field. Handoff straight up the middle. And a rugby scrum.
Guess what has to do tonight is control the line of scrimmage, and they're going to have to control the clock. They had the ball in time of possession that quarter for 6 minutes, 38 seconds. Easton had it for 5 rounds.
There's pretty good movement by these Warriors.
Okay, right there, his helmet comes off just like
2-yard line, and they might be discussing exactly what you just.
You can see they're discussing it, and if it's a targeting.
You should take a look at it, but
Federation are about focusing on risk minimization.
Well, it's 3rd down and 3 now for the Blue Jays, so to keep this drive going and the momentum, they've got to get the first. Hannes, quick throw over the middle, a little high, incomplete. Couldn't reach it that time. Kalijah Lipscomb gave it a try, but couldn't pull it down. There's Kalijah.
He needed to come down with that ball. That was something that needed to be caught. He catches that ball, he runs for a while. They had the whole coverage ran Kalijah Lipscomb underneath the coverage. He dumps it off with a ball that he should have caught. He would have still been running.
Now, Warren Easton got off to the quick start.
Mix in the pass when they have to.
Good punt, fair catch being called for and made by Chris. So Warren Easton will have the football. This Saturday, SportsNola.com has live exclusive coverage of the Gridiron Developmental Football League Championship game between the Crescent City Kings and the Nashville Storm. Kickoff at Victory Field is at 5 p.m. Watch the action live Saturday evening at SportsNola.com. Warren Easton at their own 36-yard line after that 32-yard punt by the Blue Jays. Starks has some time and a lot of real estate if he wants to run. Pressure coming down, hit hard as he throws the football, and receiver Nick Bartholomew can't catch up to it, and I mean Starks was leveled from behind after he threw that football.
Jesuit went to their 3-man front. All right, they opened up the game in their 4-man front, brought in their 3-man front. You'll see right here, decent protection. Stark steps up and airs it out and finally gets hit from behind. But I tell you what was impressive right there was that the Jesuit defense did not let the receiver get on top of him. That is one of the keys that I have, basically, is that, tonight they can't let anybody in a white jersey get behind them. And that was a great coverage right there by Jandon Briscoe, number 3.
Stark's okay. He's out there. Boyd behind him as he'll work out of that pistol.
And you can see Jesuit still in their 3-man front. So basically what they have gone to is a 3-man front where they can now bring in an extra defensive back in order to defend against the pass. And that is something that they're going to look at to mix up all night long to try to keep Warren Easton on their toes. The only thing you give up in a 3-man defense or a 3-man front is, unless you're bringing pressures from the linebackers or the secondary, you give up that pass rush.
Yes. Well, timeout called.
You can see Troy Baglio, the defensive coordinator, right there. Also one of the finest defensive line coaches in the state of Louisiana, doing a great job coaching his kids up. He will mix up the fronts tonight. He'll also mix up a lot of things that he does with his fronts as far as blitzing and stunting. And what we mean by stunting is moving defensive linemen around by twisting them up front and slanting them up front. And they do a great job at doing that. They're very well coached, and that hopefully on their idea will put some pressure on that offensive line of Warren Easton, which is huge.
Warren Easton called this timeout, and I'm not sure if Tony Hull just didn't like something he saw in the Jesuit defensive lineup that time, but this was an Eagle timeout. So now they look at 2nd down and 10. And we'll send a man in motion. And he wants to turn around, go to the motion side, thrown low by Starks, incomplete. 3rd down, 10 for the Eagles.
Tried to hit Clyde Chris again. It was not a very good pass at his feet. And Jesuit was all over that as far as their coverage is concerned. Number 4, Jakari Wiley. Number 22, Mark Beebe, playing free safety, coming downhill in the alley. Little thing about Mark Beebe, just came back from the Legion team, which was in the finals of the American Legion World Series, the Retief Oil team for Jesuit, and he plays on that baseball team.
Tyreek Starks, 3 for 6 passing for 32 yards, and he's in an obvious passing situation on 3rd down, 10. Big Jesuit rush. He'll step up into an open space, throws, hits an open receiver. Johannes Tyler with the catch and the 1st down for Warren Easton.
But
a flag down.
I'm glad you pronounced his first name right, because I was fixing to ask him before you caught the pass. Johannes Tyler, great catch right there.
It's coming back,
Holding offense.
It's coming back, and that's a break that the Blue Jays needed right there.
Holding penalty in high school is 10 yards from the spot of the flag. Let's see if we can pick it out. Right there, number 72, pulling down number 33 from Jesuit,
Anthony
Nathan
Phillips,
Farley.
guilty of holding. Negates a 14-yard reception and a 1st down. That's how big that holding penalty was for the Warren Easton Eagles. But now they'll do it again, but from a lot further, 16 yards further back. 3rd down, 26 from their own 20. Starks with a lot of time. Blue Jays with a deep zone coverage. Stark jumping around back there, being chased, and he'll finally run out of bounds. He just ran out of real estate, and the Blue Jay defense had most of the receivers extremely well covered.
Well, rushing 3, dropping 8. They were dropping into a zone. They were in a 2-high coverage, a halves secondary, 2-high coverage where the safeties are defending 2 halves of the field, and they're playing 6 people underneath. And nobody to throw to, takes it, runs it out of bounds, but the holding penalty is what put him in this situation.
Eagles drop the football on the punt. My goodness. Jonathan Mariano, the punter, dropped it. And the Blue Jays will have the football in great field position and a chance to get right back in this one.
That's Cameron Crozier coming up with the fumble from Marino, who dropped the ball in punt position. You can't do that. That's going to set the Jesuit offense up in real good scoring position right here. Those are the things Warren Easton needs to stay away from, the critical mistakes, the turnovers, things of that nature, and rely upon what it is that they do well. Playing pitch and catch with the ball, running the ball periodically, and then playing good, solid defense.
Now you're going to go back, if you're a Warren Easton fan, and say, how big was that holding penalty that negated a first down? Warren Easton might still have the football, but instead, Jesuit has it. Great opportunity to get on the board. They've got to push it down quick, and they make a nice gain to the 20-yard line on a first down run. That's Kai Rojas on the carry.
Looks like they're switching the running backs by Saris. You'll see Rojas taking the handoff on what we call the outside zone stretch right there. Nice blocking up front, but that hole with the speed of Warren Easton closes really quick because the speed of their overall defense is real fast.
Rojas, the lone setback behind Hannes, who will work under center. Looking for him again, trying the middle, hard to run against that big middle of that Warren Easton front. Again, when you look at the sizes of that defensive line by the Eagles, they're all up in the high 270s and to the mid 300s.
Right there. Great penetration. Miles Veen just does a great job blowing up the left guard, Cameron Mayu, creating penetration and knocking down Rojas before he can even get started.
Veen's known as the steamroller, known to take on double and triple teams, or his lineman will sometimes take it for him so it can clear him up to make the tackle. Big hole on the left side, this time for Rojas. He hits it, and he is close to the 15-yard line.
Thing you see right there, Ken, you can see the holes there, and then it closes real fast. That shows the speed of the Warren Easton defense. You can see right here they're going to kick out the end. Number 66, Cameron Mayo. Nice little kick out block there. Rosas sticks it up in there, picks up 3 and 4. Looks like he's going to get more, but all of a sudden there's a lot of gold helmets conversion to the ball.
Chris Fortin with a nice stop for the Warren Easton Eagles that time. As a matter of fact, a first down saving stop, so it's 4th down and 3. And the Blue Jays are going for it with 7 minutes and 43 seconds to go with the first half. Peter Hannes fake to Rojas on the play action. He's got a man wide open with the catch. He's got Evan Slattery, and the Jays have a first down inside the 10-yard line.
The play action pass off the outside run, which they just showed, is a bootleg. They come right with the bootleg there. You can see Hannes, great fake, tucks his shoulders, and puts the ball right in a position where the underneath drag is coming from for Evan Rojas. They're starting tight end. They were in a 2 tight end set that time. You're going to see number 88, Marshall Lee, on the field also at the other tight end, along with Evan Slattery, number 47.
Needed 3, got more than that, got 9. It's 1st and goal from the 9, and Rojas on the left side is inside the 5-yard line now. And Jesuit running with a little bit more authority. You can tell there's an extra zip in that step on every snap of the football.
Well, right there, great job by Rosas getting his shoulder pad level nice and low. He gets the shoulder pad level low, he's falling forward, picks up the extra yard. You can see the good zone blocking by the Jesuit offensive line. You can see a great seal block by the left tackle, Corey Dublin. 3-year starter. He has started ever since he was a freshman.
Tight ends in there as fullback Slattery, and following the crowd right into the end zone goes Connor Pruitt for the score. Touchdown. Jesuits on the board for the first time tonight with 6 minutes and 29 seconds to play in the first half.
If you notice, they've controlled the clock, they've stuck to the plan, power and run the football, use the pass when they have to, especially off play action pass, and it results in a nice score right there. But let's go back. Where is this set up? This is set up on the fumble and the holding penalty in the last series from Warren Easton. The fumble on the punt and the holding in the offensive series just before that.
I'll tell you what, you know Warren Easton fans are disappointed with that when Crew Jacobs with the point after. And it's a 13-7 ball game after a 6-play, 23-yard drive. 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Connor Pruitt with the touchdown for Jesuit. We've got a tight football game here at Tad Gormley. We are back on the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase at Tad Gormley Stadium. 13-7. Jesuit has just scored to pull within a score of Warren Easton. And the Blue Jays have a flag on the kickoff, offside Jesuit.
Well, that was
5 yards.
That was
Coach on the kicking team, 5 yards.
at least somebody was offsides.
Chris has already returned the opening kickoff in this game, 50 yards for a touchdown.
Well, let's try to keep it out of his hands. That was the
It took 3 minutes and 15 seconds.
game plan. That's what Jesuit has to do.
Sometimes when you're a speedy,
Boom! Great physical tackle, shoulder tackle by Jakar Wiley. He shoots and wraps his hands, sticks his shoulder in there, and makes a great tackle.
well, we've got the water break timeout, and that gives us a moment to introduce to you a new segment this season called Traditions, presented by Joseph A. Bank. The new tradition since 1905, with locations downtown in Metairie and in Mandeville. Let's go down to the field and Stephanie Altman. Stephanie, with a special guest.
Ron, how important is it to see these two teams playing again?
From a historical perspective, it's very important to me, being a historian. The first time these two teams played was 102 years ago, and Jesuit was the only boys' high school that had a football team at the time, and Warren Easton, the only boys' public school that had a football team. And the mayor of New Orleans had a box on the Easton side, and the Archbishop of New Orleans had a box on the Jesuit side, and there were parades to the game. It was a big social event at that time.
Do you ever think the rivalry will be what it was back then now?
No, because times have changed. In 1936, for instance, Jesuit and Easton played. They sold so many tickets that they had to move the game to Tulane Stadium and drew 33,000 people, which was a larger crowd than the first Sugar Bowl. Well, this stadium only seats 25,000, so you'll never have crowds like that. It could be a very important game because of sociological things. They're going to try to renew the rivalry on a permanent basis, and it'd be nice just from a historical perspective.
Thank you so much, Ron. Ken and Wade, back to you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Ron Bricata from the Clarion Herald, and a historian on much of high school football, and of course a sports writer for sportsnola.com. You can find a lot of his writings right here at sportsnola.com. Glad Chris on that last, so on fourth down, the Eagles are going for it, and a pass much too low for Nick Bartholomew to pull in, so the Blue Jays will now take over on downs. Each team has given it up on downs in this football game tonight with 5 minutes to go in the first half.
You know, ebbs and peaks. I mean, what needs to happen is both sides seem to start off, Warren Easton starts off very strong, and then they peaked a little bit, they're ebbing a little bit. Ball right there, wide open receiver is thrown at his feet. That pass has got to be completed. And then Jesuit has settled themselves down and gotten their running game together, and it should create, a lot more opportunity for those guys the second half.
Yeah, and you're looking at a senior quarterback, Tyreek Starks, but he has had to wait 3 years playing behind Mr. Football, Deshaun Capers-Smith. So there's going to be a few moments when he looks great, and there's going to be a few moments when he looks a little rusty like he did on that last play. Somebody moves, somebody jump. Let's see whether the movement or the jump came first. Flag down.
Encroachment, 5-yard penalty on the defense.
Let's remember in high
Dead
school.
ball encroachment, 5-yard penalty on the defense.
As I was saying, let's remember in high school, the minute you step into that neutral zone, as you see right there, the ball is completely dead, the play is completely stopped, and they're going to mark off the penalty against the encroachment. In that case, that was 98 Jeffrey Holmes stepping into the neutral zone.
Connor Pruitt on the carry. That was the fourth penalty on Warren Easton for 31 yards. Jesuit has been penalized once tonight for only 5 yards.
If that becomes a pattern for the rest of the night, that's going to be tough for Warren Easton. They've got to make sure that they minimize those mistakes.
Yes, because the biggest mistake right now for the Eagles was that holding penalty on what was a first down completed pass, came back, fumbled a fourth down punt. Jesuit takes over deep in Warren Easton territory, takes advantage of the opportunity, puts points on the board, and we've got a tight football game because of it. Pruitt breaks a tackle, skips to the outside. Nice move by Connor Pruitt, proving he's still got a little juke and jive in the step.
You know, Jesuit is now in their two-back offense. They brought in their fullback, Zach Young, number 7. You can see him lead the counter play for Connor Pruitt. Connor bounces it outside because the hole is cloudy. A lot of running room out on that edge, and does a nice job picking up the first down.
And a gain of 7 to pick it up. Got Peter Hodges. You heard Wade call him Rock. That's his dad. Rock Hodges, the Tulane quarterback who led the Wave to the Liberty Bowl in 1979. Pruitt into the line after the handoff from Hodges. His son Peter coming here at the Jesuit.
Yeah.
He's got 2 years. He's got to play behind Tanner Lee. Then 1 year behind Trey LaFour. She had 2 great quarterbacks. One starting for the Tulane Green Wave this weekend against Duke, and the other one over at LSU is a quarterback. He finally gets an opportunity to play as a senior. You know this young man well. You helped make sure he came to Jesuit.
Well, he outstanding young man. You know, just not only a football player, but one of those guys that is a leader on and off the field, and he's going to move on and do great things in his life. And being just a field general is what he is for this offense.
Play action to Pruitt. Wants to go deep, has a man, and it is caught by Elijah Lipscomb near the 10-yard line. He's pushed that around to the 11-yard line. That'll be enough for another first down for the Blue Jays.
Well, they've been establishing the run now, Ken. You've seen them establish the run. They come with the play-action pass off the run. Here's the fake on the play-action pass right there. Great out route by Elijah Lipscomb. The ball is delivered on the money by Hannes, and Elijah Lipscomb fighting for those extra yards, keeping the ball high and tight. Good coaching right there on that wide receiver by Gino Gambaluka.
16 yards for the first down. First and 10 now at the 12-yard line, so Jesuit can make a first down without scoring a touchdown. This time they go back to Connor Pruitt, but nowhere to run on the left side.
Jonathan Marino does a great job blowing up the outside zone right there, beating Corey Dublin on the edge and making the tackle. A little bit about Corey Dublin, for a second. Corey Dublin, we've talked about him last year when we called a couple of Jesuit games. He came in as a freshman at Jesuit and started as a young man at a tackle position, and 3 years later, as a junior, he's still starting at the same tackle position. He is a fine football player.
Well, Connor Pruitt so far tonight, 12 rushes for 42 yards with 1:52 to play in the first half. Hannes won't go to him on this play. He's going deep into the end zone, has a man. It is pulled out, caught. Malachi Hull, touchdown, Jesuit. What a catch, what a toss by Hannes. 15 yards for the score, but a flag is thrown after the play. Could be excessive celebration.
Well, I think what you're going to see, Malachi Hull is so excited. He takes the ball, he thinks he's in the NFL, and he spins it on the ground like a top. In high school, you can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure Coach Sanji is going to have a word with him. I'm sure Gino Gambaluka, the wide receiver coach, listen to our official here real quick.
Number 6, unsportsmanlike on the kickoff. He spun the ball. Unsportsmanlike conduct on blue results in a touchdown. Will be formatted on the kickoff.
Our referee, Jim Ratcliffe.
Well, this isn't the NFL. You can't do that. And as I said, I'm sure Gino Gambaluka, wide receiver coach for Jesuit, as well as Mark Sanji, just gave him an earful as he was coming off of the field. They'll be marking it off on the kickoff.
Well, we're tied at 13. Crew Jacobs can give the Blue Jays the lead, and he does. It is 14-13. Jesuit with the lead, and we have one exciting New Orleans City rivalry coming to life right here as Peter Hannes hits Malachi Hull for 6. Now there's the touchdown, and there's the NFL spin of the football, and you can get excited, you just can't spin it. Hey, not a bad spin. I'll give him an 8 out. I'll tell you what, I'll give him a 9.2 even with the Russian judge.
Well, I'll tell you what. 2 years ago, I'd have been steaming out of my ears. Now I'm sitting back, look at the young man. He's a fine young man, fine receiver. You can see Mark right there giving him an earful right there, telling him, no, we don't do that. Yes, and he's telling him a little bit more, we don't do that. And I'm sure some of the words out of Coach Sanji's mouth were, you don't get paid in this league, you don't get to spin the ball.
Well, a short kick. Warren Easton will fall on it. The drive, 6-play, 42-yard drive, took 3 minutes and 17 seconds. Hannes 2 for 2 on that drive for the TD. Prior to the drive, this is interesting. Prior to the drive, Wade, Hannes was 3 of 5 for 11 yards, and he completed both passes he threw on that drive for 31 yards and the TD.
Well, the run is setting up the pass. That's the bottom line. That I'm sure that is what Mark and the offensive staff have set up to do in their game plan. So they've been running the ball successfully. They've set up 2 passes right there, one off a play action. The other one, they rolled the pocket out, moved the protection to get away from the rush, and Malachi Hall pops open in the end zone for the 6 points.
That's the next question, is the difference at the line of scrimmage, because Warren Easton jumped out early. Of course, one on the kickoff return, but they were moving the football very well till they hurt themselves with penalties. Here's a little inside screen to Nick Bartholomew. Bartholomew's got a little bit of running room. He's got the first down and a lot more down to the 35, inside the 35-yard line.
Outstanding speed right there on a little bit of wide receiver screen. He's going to come under. Starks delivers the ball in the wide receiver screen. He ducks in behind those offensive linemen, and he takes off with his great speed. And saving tackle right there by Jandon Briscoe.
And this time a throw a little bit off the mark. It took Stark just a little extra time to release that football and get it out of his hands. It was intended for Terrence Sylvester, and then thrown a little off the mark. That stops the clock with 1:23 to play in the first half.
Tyreek has a great delivery. It's going to take him a little while to get into this game speed and things of that nature. And, it's the tough thing to do it against a very good defense like Jesuit.
And off to Boyd. Boyd over the right side, pushing for a few. But he's also working against the clock right now with 1:15 and the clock ticking. 1:11, 1:10, 1:09 to play in the first half. The difference in this game right now, only an extra point that was blocked.
I think that's Boyd's 8th rush. Prior to that, he had 7 rushes for 28 yards, and he had that 1 touchdown at the beginning of the game.
This time Starks was looking long, but no one's open. He'll throw it short to Boyd, and the ball pops up in the air and was up for grabs, and nobody could catch up to it.
Didn't I already say this? The best place to hit you is where?
Right in the hands, in the stomach, in the chest. Boom.
This is number 2 for Mr. Boyd.
Yeah,
he's got to catch these balls.
I mean, right there, he turned. You could see he had turned around and was running before he really had that ball pulled in tight. Second one tonight, you're right. He'd like to have them both back, too. 4th down, 7. For Warren Easton with 51 seconds to play. They've got to at least get the first down. They need 7 yards for the first down. Looks like they want it all. Going down the far sideline, a jump up and a catch way down. That's Chris. Clyde Chris with a big catch when the Eagles needed it, and they're lining up quickly. They don't have to do it this quick. They've got 43 seconds to work with in the first half.
What a catch, what a throw. You really saw his athletic talent right there, leaping up.
I'm thinking 7 yards, and they're going for it all at the time. Boyd on the handoff, and he is into the end zone, touchdown. Well, I'm sorry I said Boyd, but they went with DeWitt Johnson that time. DeWitt Johnson came in for the score. They brought in a 5'7" freshman running back who has not touched the football tonight and brought him in that situation, and he takes it for the score. Warren Easton back on top in a whale of a ball game here at Tad Gormley with just 3 ticks over a half minute to play in the first half. 19-14. Herrera is in to kick this one. His last one was blocked. He's got a high kick. He normally gets that football way up there. This one is kicked high and up, and it is good. 20-14. Warren Easton with the lead over the Blue Jays.
There's your run right there. DeWitt Johnson sticks it in the end zone after a great catch by Clyde Chris to set this play up. And you put Warren Easton back on top, 20-14.
If you're interested in purchasing a DVD copy of today's game, send an email to prep@sportsnola.com or call our offices at 504-681-0120 during normal business hours. You'll receive a reply with more information on purchasing DVDs.
Here's your pass to Chris right here.
I'm thinking 7 yards in the first. They're thinking 6.
What a catch. What a catch. You can see his leaping ability right there. That is one of the reasons why he is the number 118th Rivals prospect and one of the top wide receiver prospects in the nation. Being recruited by teams like Georgia, Texas A&M, UCLA, LSU, and Tulane.
Well, one thing Starks does very, very well is he gets up. He's got a large catching radius, and he can find openings. And if it's in tight quarters, he gets up and grabs that football very, very well. You can see picture after picture of this young man pulling footballs down out of nowhere, and he just showed why he is so highly rated, not only by everybody, but also by our SportsNola.com poll. Flag down.
Flag down on the kickoff, kicked out of bounds. You have the choice in high school to take the ball at the 35-yard line or back the ball up 5 more yards and kick it again. It looks as if the Jays are going to make Warren Easton kick the ball again 5 yards deeper from the 35.
The touchdown drive by Warren Easton, which allowed them to take the lead 20-14, was a 6-play, 57-yard drive, a quick one too, 1 minute and 10 seconds, and more importantly, Starks, the quarterback for the Eagles, was 2 for 4 for 52 yards on that drive. So he was very sharp, was a little rusty, having a little trouble, even with one pass on that drive and one pass on the previous drive, getting that ball to the receiver, but also had a couple of them dropped. So Starks settled down, had a good drive, and made a difference. Kicked out of bounds again, and remember, when it's kicked out of bounds, no time is coming off that clock, and the Blue Jays are moving up the field.
Right, so they're going to either gain yardage by placement of the ball or gain yardage again by moving the ball back 5 yards.
What would you do here? You'd like to have them?
I'd back them up again.
Me too. If I was a head coach, keep kicking it over, because one thing that happens when they keep kicking it over, well, 2 things happen. Not only do you move them back every time, but their guys are winded. They get just a little bit more winded. They're making that little jog down the football field.
Well, I'd back them up again, and just now they're at the 30-yard line. You can see Tony Hull there a little upset over his kicking game. So we'll see it again, see what happens, and Jesuit would have the opportunity if the ball goes out again to take it 5 yards back or take it at 15-yard or 25 yards from where the ball is placed on the kickoff.
Jonathan Marino. It's a big defensive lineman. Will kick it, and this one to the middle of the field will be returned by Jakari Wiley. Wiley trying to break one. Oh, looked like he fumbled the football, but he breaks a couple of tackles instead and fights his way across the 50 all the way inside the 45 of the Warren Easton Eagles with 22 seconds now on the clock.
Well, as I talked earlier, Jakari Wiley has a knack for running kicks and punts back. Nice catch right there. He's going to set up his block, sticks it inside. Ball pops out, recovers the ball. Everybody kind of slows down on the coverage team, and he takes off and gets a few more yards. Ball was just kind of ripped out of his arms there.
Third possession for Jesuit that begins in Warren Easton territory, but they've only got 22 seconds to play with here. Watch for the rush. Looks like Eagles only rushing 4. Hodges working out of the gun. Starts to run. Stripped of the football. It's down on the ground. Scramble for it. Looks like Jesuit has it. They'll have to unstack this pile. Maybe not. Warren Easton football with 14 seconds to play.
Stripped out of his hands. Recovered by number 53, Trajan Allen, coming up with that big strip on that sack and fumble.
Well, that is a big play right there for Easton. who can now decide to just use all of that wide receiver speed and go for another one with 14 seconds, or just take a knee and take a rest at halftime. But
well, you could see 56 right there. Teron Nash got the strip, put the ball on the ground, and the recovery by the defense.
Starks wants it all. He's running around. He's got some room. He'll have to throw it over the middle. He does. It's almost picked off. My goodness.
Almost picked off by number 19. That is
Elijah Morgan.
There you go.
Well, I take that back. That's actually Patrick Spires. Yeah, there's two 19s on the roster for Jesuit, so that's
right.
Patrick Spears.
Well, Jesuit has over 100 players on their roster, and you can see they have double numbers, and that's Patrick Spears back there, 6'3", 170-pound junior, playing deep.
4 seconds left in the first half. They'll just go with a little screen pass, try to make it work with extra yardage on the run. Here goes Chris. Chris trying to make it happen. He'll get a lot of yardage. It'll look good on the stat sheet. But the Blue Jays keep him out of the end zone, and we have had a whale of a first half here in the renewal of this city rivalry between Jesuit and Warren Easton, with Warren Easton leading 20-14. Back with our halftime show on the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase right after this. Welcome back to Tad Gormley's City Park Stadium here in New Orleans for the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase, and we have had a thriller for an opener this year with Warren Easton leading Jesuit 20-14. Wade, your comments on the first half.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's been exciting since the beginning of the opening kickoff with the run back right there. You've seen a lot of things happen. First of all, you saw Jesuit come out and, they were, a little gun shy at first. Warren Easton took advantage of that. And then they settle down and they start running the football. You see Warren Easton attack first and have a couple of big plays, and they score, until Jesuit kind of slows them down and they kind of gather themselves defensively. So, from this standpoint, you can see both sides trying to stick to their game plans. Jesuit running the ball, controlling the clock, all right, using the passing game when they have to, and then Warren Easton getting their athletes in space, open, trying to get them the ball and make athletic plays happen. So you see them both sticking to their game plan. So the question is what are they saying at halftime to their young men? They're saying, guys, let's make sure we get back to our game plans, stay on course. It's a tight football game. Both of us, talking as both teams, are capable of winning this football game. Let's stay on track. Stay with the game plan.
Well, let's take a look at the stats in the first half, provided, of course, by our ace statistician, TC, Tommy Cooper. Always does a great job. First downs, Warren Easton 7-5. But look at that rushing yards. I thought that the Blue Jays might have had a little bit more than that, but they had some short drives, didn't they?
Right. And also what you don't see there is a glaring statistic in the penalty department.
Yes.
Right now, Tony Hull from Easton is talking to his players about the penalties that were committed in the first half by his football team. 6 penalties for 41 yards. One major penalty was a holding penalty that took away a first down, put it into a fourth down situation, and they drop a punt, which sets up a score for Jesuit.
A short field score for Jesuit.
Short field, short porch score for Jesuit. Jesuit, 2 penalties for 20 yards at this time. So that's something Tony Hall and the Warren Easton staff are addressing right now in the locker room, their penalty situation. Also, another glaring is the time of possession. Jesuit, 14 minutes, 58 seconds to Warren Easton's 9 minutes, 2 seconds. That's part of Jesuit's game plan.
And you said what Tony Hull would be looking for out of Warren Easton in the second half. What does Mark Sanji tell this Jesuit team for the second half?
Stick with our game plan. Don't make dumb mistakes. Make sure you don't let receivers get behind you to make big plays like Chris did to set up the score there in the second quarter for Warren Easton. Make sure you stick with the game plan and play smart football.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be set for the second half of football with Warren Easton leading Jesuit 20-14 at halftime. A great renewal of an old city rivalry way down yonder in New Orleans. this old city rivalry, Jesuit had the lead briefly one time on this Peter Hotta's 15-yard touchdown pass to Malachi Hull, but Warren Easton came back to make it 20-14, and that's where we are at halftime. Ken Berthelot, along with Wade Kaiser, and it's been a great football game. Let's go downstairs to Stephanie Altman for a special report.
Thank you, Ken. And I talked to Tony Hall before halftime. He said there's two things they need to fix. Some problems on special teams he wants to look at, and they just need to stop the run. As far as Jesuit goes, he says they just need to play better. When they play against a team like Warren Easton, they need to take advantage of their mistakes and just overall play better. Back to you, Ken and Wade.
Stephanie, and boy, Tony Hall's correct. Out of his 6 penalties, 3 have been on special teams, and it has cost him dearly.
Well, I knew that's what he was going to be talking to those guys about at halftime. He needed to go in and hammer that home and make sure he's got that. But also one of the keys of the game for Warren Easton, as I've talked about before, they've got to stop the Jesuit run. Jesuit is dominating the run and the time right now. They've got to fix that from the Warren Easton defensive standpoint.
Wiley and Briscoe back for the Jays deep. And it will come deep, and it will come to Briscoe. Coming to the near side, looking for some room, and he's got some room, and making the most of it, taking it out near midfield before being run out of bounds.
You know, the telltale sign tonight can possibly be the Jesuit kicking game versus the Warren Easton kicking game. We've seen so far here in the first half the problems Warren Easton is having in their kicking game. You know, missed PATs, penalties in the kicking game. Right there, a kickoff return. You know, it looked like a touch rather than a tackle right there by one of the kickoff return coverage guys for Warren Easton. So this could be the telltale sign for the rest of the night.
If you're Peter Hotta's, what kind of self-confidence did you garner in the first half of this season opener, especially with that nice touchdown pass to Malachi Hull we looked at just moments ago again?
Well, this says it all right here. Hannes was 2 for 4 for 4 yards to start off the game, and he settled down, became 3 for 3 for 38 yards and a touchdown since. So in other words, he grew into the things that he can possibly do. He settled down and started playing a lot better and being the field general that Jesuit wants him to be.
Kai Rojas for 4.
Out, it's going to become Warren Easton's ball. High and tight. That's where you got to put that ball.
Just like Mark Sanji said.
Manageable. So that's what Mark's talking about, and Coach Sanji's talking about when he...
Down and 4 to keep this opening drive of the second half alive. Yep, Jesuit got a timeout before the snap. Season Pro TV 20. Hey, this week, Honville and Coach Steve. All right, here's a big third down for the Blue Jays in 4. Snap is rolled back to Hannes. He picks it up. He's going to make a run at the first down and is tackled just short of it by 1.5 yards.
Ball rolls back to Hannes right there. He picks it up and he scrambles out of there. He better learn how to go down and not take the hit like that. You'll see the bad snap on the ground. Hannes picks it up, has nowhere to go but try to scramble it. Please put the ball away. He does, but he comes up and gets hit. He needs to make sure he goes down to the ground and does not take the brunt of the hit.
That'll bring in Crew Jacobs to punt this football away for the Blue Jays, and he can easily reach 40-45 yards punting the football for a little bitty guy. Needs a good one here. Needs to back the Eagles up. You see Chris is back, and he's explosive. This one high enough that Chris will not call for the fair catch. Takes it on the first bounce. Dangerous, and gets it back to the 34-yard line. My goodness, you've got to credit that time this young man for the Warren Easton Eagles, because I didn't think Clyde Crisp was going to go after that ball on the first bounce.
Well, he picks up the ball to the first bounce, takes it, and tries to shoot upfield, try to make something happen. Now he's trying to limp off and get off the field. I don't know if it's a cramp, if it's an ankle, if it's a knee. But he looks like he's in a lot of pain as he's hopping off on 1 foot.
Remember, the regular season closer, regular season ender against Carr last year, he tore a meniscus, was scoped, fully recovered from it.
You can see the one bounce catch right there. Yep. He's getting vertical. And boom, looks like he just kind of rolls the ankle a little bit. So it could either be an ankle or it could be a cramp. He's grabbing both of his feet and he's pulling his toes into them. Looks like a cramp. If I was a betting man in Vegas, I'm going with the cramp.
Going with the cramp, and you wanted to be nothing worse than that because this young man's got too much talent. Don't want to see any injuries out there. And there's the little freshman, DeWitt Johnson, who scored the touchdown on the run late in the first half to give the Eagles a lead. And 5'7", 140 pounds. The biggest thing the defense has to do with him is find him when he's running the football.
Well, I tell you what, that's DeWitt Johnson is going to be apparently the backup to Boyd right there. You can see Tariq Starks right there, 7 for 50 and 110 yards in the first half. You know, had a pretty good half, but he
Boyd with a big hole. Boyd with 1 or 2 tackles to break. He broke one of them. Can he get by the second? And no, he's finally pulled down late after a gigantic gain. The Blue Jays finally put a stop on him. Patrick Spears with the stop.
Boyd takes the inside handoff on the zone read right there, bounces it out of the back door and gets his shoulder pads vertical down the field. You can see Jakar Wiley come in right there and make an attempt at a tackle, and Boyd just runs right through his arms, finally brought down by Patrick Spears. Nice run.
39-yard gain. And Warren Easton right now keeping it on the ground. We have not seen Tariq Starks really use his running ability. They described this young man as a true dual threat.
Well, a lot of that comes off the zone read. If the zone read is not there, then he's going to give the ball to the running back. It's an option, Ken. He has the option to give the ball to the running back or pull the ball on the option. And the past 2 times off the zone read, he's given it to Boyd.
Boyd again. Breaks a few tackles. He's slippery. And he drives it down near the 10-yard line.
You know, Joseph Boyd last year sat behind a pretty good running back, a guy named Devin Glenn, who was going to Tulane, all right? Yes. That seems to be the story tonight. You know, for a lot of these Warren Easton players, they sat behind some sort of Division I player that is now playing their freshman year in college. And Boyd is one of those guys, and he's got some talent. You know, he got some runs last year backing up talents.
10 players signed Division I scholarships and are playing somewhere.
Well, yes, they are. And, you know, Devin Glenn is a running back, and he's at
So we'll take a break with that timeout. 7:51 to play in the third quarter. Easton driving. On the ground, he's had success.
Dad Rick Crozier played at Tulane. Off it, but it's going to be negated by a penalty.
Sims, a sophomore. You can see a little mistakes. Penalties, little things.
Nice delivery by Starks right there. Good catch. Gets his shoulder pads north and south. Tries to extend the ball.
Ooh,
looks like he was out of bounds.
Close.
That was very close. Looks like he almost got the pylon with it. We need one of those little cameras inside the pylon like they have in the NFL. We need to talk to our production crew about that.
Frustrated head coach Tony Hull with the towel around his neck going, let's cut those mistakes down. Here comes a big Jesuit rush. Starks is around it. Watch him. He's dangerous when he gets an open field, and he's pushed out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. And one of the Eagles lost his helmet. That is offensive lineman Tony Branch, 6'2", 331. Great size on that O-line for the Eagles.
He'll have to come off the field for one play because he lost his helmet. You can see Starks right here. Gets the ball, looks downfield, nothing there. Pocket collapses, and he takes off. Good running form, knocked out of bounds by Carson Smith, number 99.
Third down, 11, and once again, Warren Easton finds themselves in a little bit of a bind. Why? Because of a penalty. That's the frustrating part for the Eagles and head coach Tony Hall. Under a big rush, he'll make the toss into the end zone. Overthrown, intended, when a flag is down, intended for Johannes Tyler.
Well, I think you're going to see a little interference penalty in the end zone. A little knockdown while the ball was en route to the receiver. That's going to draw a penalty every time. Waiting for our official here to give us the official word. There's the interference penalty against Jesuit. You'll get half a distance to the goal line.
Half the distance to the goal, third down.
It'll still be third down. That rule changed 2 years ago where it's no longer an automatic first down. It's still the down of the preceding down, which was third. You just get the distance on the interference penalty. So it's
see what happens on this Warren Easton drive, but we need to talk about it. We haven't chatted yet about the rule changes this year, at least the one.
he was up and over the top.
Speed, good vertical, loves to get up in a crowd to pull the ball down. On Easton side, you've got to go, a penalty really hurt us.
Penalty.
Wow.
It drives offensive coordinators nuts, and it takes head coaches.
Saints quarterback is joined by Mike Detillier. They'll look ahead to the football weekend each Thursday night at 6, right here on WHNO TV 20, John Forcade and Mike Detillier on the John Forcade Show, brought to you by Veterans Ford. Those two guys always have a good time on that show, and you don't know what's coming out of either one of their mouths when they decide to just let it fly. First down for the Blue Jays. They're going to keep it on the ground this close to their goal line, and it won't be too much for Connor Pruitt. But the Jays are playing it safe.
Well, they're going to try to get back to their running game. That's what they have to do down here. They try to run the counter with Connor Pruitt. He gets stacked up by Miles Veen. Again, what a great athletic talent that young man is, who is committed to the University of Central Florida.
He's only played football the last 3 years. You realize that?
Yes, that is correct. He's only played 3 years. This is his third year of organized football.
And what a talent. Hanna standing near his own goal line. Will throw the safe out to Malachi Hull. He drops it incomplete.
On the coverage right there, Chris Fortin. Nice job driving on the ball, knocking the ball out of Malachi Hull's hands at the last second to get the incomplete pass. There it is. There's the drive. There's the rake right there. Nice defensive play.
Third down 10 for Jesuit. Well, if there was a big play that could change the momentum of the game, it could be right here and what happens on third down, because a first down by the Jays would get them out of the hole and keep a drive, a clock-eating drive going that the Jays need. A hold by the Eagles would force a punt and give field territory. There's one over the middle. It is caught. Kalijah Lipscomb with a big catch and a first down.
They've been trying to connect Kalijah Lipscomb all night. Self down the boundary, running what is called a rail.
Busting through the line, almost keeps his balance, but stumbles down after gaining a few. Second down 2. Flag is thrown. Jays may have the first down, but hold every. So talk a little bit about.
In every league, whether it's high school, college, or legal, it is a penalty to protect a defenseless player. That's one of the big rules this year in high school football.
Kalijah Lipscomb on the catch and got the penalty yardage back and back to the original line of scrimmage.
Wide receiver screen there. You can see the offensive lineman getting out in front of him. He catches the ball and gets vertical, tries to pick up some of the yardage from the chop block penalty. They've also this year re-clarified the spearing rule. In other words, we used to have the old spearing rule where you can't hit with the top of the helmet. Still can't do that, but it clarifies the rules, so that way the rule now protects the defenseless player if they are being hit by somebody leading with their helmet.
Now that time, catchable ball by Lipscomb, and they're finally getting Kalijah into the offense a little bit more. You hadn't heard a whole lot of him in the first half, from him in the first half of this game. He'd like to have that one back.
Well, that's his third drop pass of the night. That's, you didn't see that last year. Ball was delivered well, needed to be caught, and you needed to make sure you catch those type of balls, especially when they hit you in the hands.
Wouldn't have been enough for the first down anyway, so Jesuit will have to punt it away with Crew Jacobs standing back inside of his own 10-yard line. Jays may want to kick this away from the speedy Tate and Chris. And they'll let this one bounce and be blown dead near midfield. At about 32 to play in the third quarter. We'll take a break. Easton leading by 6 over the Blue Jays on the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase. Doesn't take the Eagles long to put that ball into play, with the officials say team showing they can run it and pass it at will. But the Blue Jays coming up with, they're trying that middle, and Jesuit clogging up that middle to stop them up.
Their jamboree, and this young man has a bright future in front of him.
Boyd again. with a head of steam, has the first down by just a yard. But he's got it from the end zone camera.
Oh, yeah, well, that's a coach's shot. That's every coach you know. One Boyd, he's got the hot hand right now. And
behind the scrimmage, bounces off the hit, but can't escape the Blue Jay defense.
Well, combined right there, Jacob Baxter, number 44, and number 36 linebacker Roe Harper, 6'1", 210, do a great job. Penetration and banging Boyd up into the backfield.
Carson Schmidt from the defensive line also helped out on that one. And that brings up 3rd down 4.
The thing you can see right there is there's a lot of blue jerseys running to the football. That's what you want to see from a good defense, and I know Troy Baglio stresses that every day they go to practice. Run to the football.
Starks to throw. He does. Has a man. Has a first down. Has more. And who would you expect to go to? Clyde Chris.
Well, you can see his athletic talent right there on the wide receiver screen. He hits the seam, he has a burst, and when I say a burst, you'll see him burst right through blue defenders. Here's the catch on the screen, right behind the block, and here comes the burst right there. Zip, bang. Patrick Spears needs to come up and make that play right there, wrap up on that tackle, missed tackle right there, allowed Chris to get more yardage.
Well, you see the ability to cut on the dime, and he does that so very well, Clyde Chris. But again, using that running game and the constant handoff to Boyd, handoff to Boyd, handoff to Boyd, and then all of a sudden, boom, you've got Chris with the big catch, big play.
Well, the wide receiver screen there was set up off of the run fake. So they run the run fake off the zone, and you can see Clyde Chris right there, number 16, walking around. He's a tired young man. He needs to make sure he gets a big, long drink of water right there so he doesn't cramp again. So they zip the ball out to Clyde Chris, and then he hits the seam. Jakar Wiley down right there with a cramp. You can see the trainers are getting him up. They'll take him to the sideline and hydrate him.
Warren Easton and Jesuit fans, the Mellow Mushroom will donate 10% of your order to your school's athletics department through Saturday night. Stop by the Metairie or Covington locations, tell your server, and give back to your school this week with the best pizza in town, the Mellow Mushroom. And don't forget to stay mellow. Yeah, Clyde Chris, young man's hadn't really made a commitment yet. He's got a lot of schools interested in him. He's leaning toward a Clemson, maybe Texas Tech, possibly Texas A&M. Has not verbally committed to any one of them yet early in the year. And there's a big hole right up the middle, and Warren Easton is on the board. Touchdown. They've got it.
Nice inside off of the inside run and then zipping the ball out.
Gone for 2 on the extra point. And he's just going to try to...
Well, number one, they go right to a up. Clyde Chris, begging for.
And Tyreek Stark 2 for 2 on 3rd down. Can the ball in the field of play.
So we're in a field position game.
Yeah, Tommy Cooper, our statistician, says yes, 1 time.
Let's look at where Warren Easton.
Yard line.
Right. Let's look at where Warren Easton has started their drives this second half, and let's look at Jesuit where they started drives this second half. Okay, so they've been across 1 time, and everything else has been behind the 50-yard line. Whereas in the first half, they're playing with better field position. They've got to convert the field here in the second half.
Peter Hannes to throw on 1st down. He wants it all, but he can't catch up to Malachi Hull.
Off the play-action pass, trying to spring Malachi Hull behind a secondary, just overthrows him. Here's a good shot of Peter Hannes.
Watch his little, you can't see the burst of speed by Hull, but he got down there.
I'll tell you what, it started with a great fake right there. Warren Easton bites. Hull is behind the secondary, just overthrow by Hannes.
2nd down and 10. Lipscomb way up to the top of the screen, but they'll stay with Connor Pruitt on the run for a short gain, rather, and that'll be the last play of the 3rd quarter. So the 3rd quarter will end here at Tad Gormley Stadium in City Park in New Orleans, with the Warren Easton Eagles leading the Jesuit Blue Jays 26-14. Today's game is presented by First NBC Bank, providing real customer service and relationship banking, now with 35 locations throughout southeast Louisiana and the Florida Panhandle. First NBC Bank, member FDIC. Well, here's Hodges going one way, turning around, throwing the screen to Connor Pruitt the other way, and Pruitt has a first down on that first play for the Blue Jays, who now has 1 quarter left to get some points on the board. They need 3 scores.
Talking about how the tables have turned slightly as you look at the screen right here back to Pruitt. In the second half, starting field position for Easton has been at the 34 and 48-yard lines on their 2 drives. One resulted on their 26. So the field position game has changed drastically in favor of Warren Easton.
On first down again with Hodges work. Now the Blue Jays need real estate in big chunks. Out of bounds line, and it's not too early in this game to use that.
This guy runs hard. I remember when he was coming into the program as a freshman.
Pruitt on the carry once more. Talking to Rock Hodges, and he does a good job of working through it and just trying to take command of the team. You don't get much playing time when you're playing behind those 2 guys. Incomplete.
Well, right there you can see, he makes a very good decision. Everybody's covered. He has to get out of the pocket, and he throws the ball away. And, a wise decision right there. Don't make a mistake. Don't throw it up in the air where it's going to get picked off. You're already down by 2 scores. Let's try to get the ball out of there, get it on the ground, come back and run another play. He is a field general. Those are the 2 words I've been talking about with this young man all night, is he has a command of the game. He's a studier of the game. He's going to always work to improve his mistakes. And, I'm telling you, by the end of the year, this Jesuit offense will be in full form, as it has shown really good, bright spurts tonight.
Third down, 8. And Jesuit used their 3rd and final timeout with 9:59, a tick under 10 minutes to play on the clock. The Blue Jays do not have another timeout. Coach Mark Sanji probably would like to have kept one just in case.
Not very happy with that.
Yeah.
He's got to use his 3rd timeout with 9:59, in the 4th quarter. But you're going to have to go all the way back to the first 2 timeouts. The first 2 timeouts came with mistakes by Jesuit involving formations that weren't right, personnel that weren't on the field. One was called by the defense, one was called by the offense. You're calling your 3rd timeout right now at this stage of the game when you're down 2 scores. Coach Sanji cannot be happy.
And remember, this is a rebuilding, you hate to use that word, but it is a rebuilding year because you lost 17 starters if you're Jesuit off this team. And Warren Easton's replacing a good 10. We put them up on the screen earlier. You talk about the history of these 2 schools. They've had up years, they've had down years, but you're talking about programs where schools have been good for a long period of time. Now, it took Tony Hull to revive this Warren Easton program, but he's done that. So here's your 3rd and 8, and it's a big 3rd and 8 because Jesuit has to keep the drive alive. Warren Easton showing pressure. Hodges looking, throwing up high. Does he pull it down? Does Kalijah Liscombe pull it down? He does for the first down at the 30-yard line, and that might be as big a play in this football game that you might see for the Jesuit Blue Jay rally if it's going to happen.
Curl route. The old curl route by Kalijah Liscombe. Ball's put up high. He shows his leaping ability. Jesuit
got to perform at times. Jesuit on 3rd down conversions missed on their first 6 of the ball game, and they have converted on 3 of their last 4. How big is that?
Right there at that time, it was
Bockers makes good drops. Man, he's just an every down performer.
Should have been read. It was from low to high. Well, let me correct some traffic. Lipscomb, Hall are in the wrong place. Poor route running right there resulted in a very bad play. I know that's going to be reviewed heavily tomorrow in the film, too. Let's don't take any credit away from Warren Easton's defense right there.
Hey, Jonathan Mariano was coming on fast.
Exactly.
And so was Chris Fortin, putting a lot of pressure on Peter Hodges there. Absolutely. All right, 4th down, 4th and 9. Jays have to go for it. They're going to throw it. They've got a man open. It's a catch, and a big one by Malachi Hull, who is banged into. And how did he hold that football? And again, another one of those great catches. Hey, Lipscomb had one. Now Hull's got one at the 8.5-minute mark of the 4th quarter to keep the drive alive for the Blue Jays.
All right, 4 verticals. You got 4 verticals running the seams, 2 inside receivers, 2 outside receivers, and Hull catches the ball, and then he holds on to it. But I tell you what, I like that hit. Carbon Morris, senior, 5'11", 186, comes up and delivers a huge tackle using his shoulder, the proper way to tackle on Malachi Hull. Great catch by Hull to keep the Jays alive.
Morris is listed as an athlete. They put him in a number of positions, and he can play them all. Jays will keep this one on the ground, and Connor Pruitt finds a little bit of running room inside the 10-yard line, but the Jays have to get on the board, and they have to do it quick.
Well, this is one of those do-or-die drives. They got to put 6 on right here and tack on the extra point to stay in this ball game.
2nd down 7 for the Jays. Taking a little long to get the play in, but they've also got to make sure with so many new people out there that everybody understands what's happening. Hannes on play action. Being rushed, he'll throw, and he has to throw it quickly, and it's overthrown. Intended deep, way in the backfield for Bryce Musso.
Well, that's the boot we saw 2 plays ago where I said they should have thrown to the low route with the fullback. Well, they run it back the other way. This time, Warren Easton does a great job covering the boot. They cover the fullback out of the backfield on the delayed route. They cover the high route by the wide receiver. No place to throw the ball. Wisely, Hannes makes a great decision, throws it out the back of the end zone. Let's live to play another down.
15th play of the drive. That's taken over 5 minutes off the clock. We have 7:24 remaining. It's 3rd down and 7. And remember, the Jays, this is 4-down territory. The Jays need a touchdown. They need 2, actually, but you can only get 1 at a time. Here's the toss, and it is in the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown, Kalijah Lipscomb. Flat interference. But not now. They needed him, and he is coming. This one's still tight and going down to the wire. Really close, great game today at the renewal of an old city series. Send an email to prep@sportsnova.com or call our offices at 504-681-0120 during normal business hours. You'll receive a reply with more information on how to purchase the DVDs. 1st down, Warren Easton, 7:18. They've got to eat some clock or answer with a score. Can they do it? They'll put the ball in the hands of Sylvester, and Terrence Sylvester with the complete pass is close to a 1st down.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's a nice aggressive call. Come out and put it in your playmaker's hands. They throw the quick screen, the quick wide receiver screen out to Terrence Sylvester off of the fake, and he gets close to the 1st down. You know, you can't now just try to rest and run clock. You need to stay with your offense and make sure that you still spread the ball around, try to still establish void, and get the ball in the hands of your playmakers.
Sylvester and Chris are at the bottom of your screen. That's your 2 big playmakers. And he'll hand off to Boyd. Boyd caught in the backfield, and he'll lose a few on this one back to the 25-yard line, a loss of 2, maybe 3.
Great defensive charge there, led by number 85, Josh Soviak on the tackle. Gets over there, makes a big play. You can see they're trying to run the stretch. Look at the pursuit by the blue jerseys. There's 85 playing it off right there, and zap! Great tackle right there. Perfect form tackle, shooting his hands, running his feet, sticking that shoulder pad in there, and most of all, he's keeping his face up and his helmet out of the tackle.
Chris is at the bottom of your screen. He's the go-to guy.
Jesuit
is Starks maybe calls timeout. He turns around. I think he tried to call a timeout. Warren Easton has all 3 timeouts remaining. Oh, he's asking for the water break. So Tony Hull over with the lineman. He's at 6 minutes, and hey, you know what? If Tyreek Starks saw that and turned around and asked for it and got it, that's a smart play by the young man, because it gives Warren Easton an opportunity to talk about this very big 3rd down 4 play.
Well, that could have been in, or it could have just been bad timing by the official making the heat and humidity call at that particular time. So we'll find out.
Well, let's take a look at the Sports NOLA 4A Top 10. Neville, who beat Warren Easton by 1.28-27 of the Superdome for the state championship last year, still leads it, and there's Warren Easton at number 4. But any surprises to see Edna Card McDonough 35 right there at 5 and 6, all in the same district?
Well, I'll tell you what, that is one tough 4A district. One tough 4A district.
You're not kidding.
Sticking right up there top as you see Franklinton. I hear they got another McGee back at quarterback.
Oh, yes.
Up there, which makes them extremely dangerous. I hear they have a great football team up there. And if you look at Turlings Catholic and St. Thomas More,
how about that number 10 team down there?
Both of those guys are in the Division I level in the playoffs.
On 3rd and 4, Warren Easton converts, keeps the football, has the first down with a throw to the high side of your screen. That's a big pitch and catch by Nick Barth.
Timeouts. They are on the
Clyde.
Yeah. Could be offsetting. Let's find out. For Jakari Wiley. Apparently Jakari Wiley is hurt more than just a cramp. He hasn't come back into the game. He got hurt in the last defensive series for Jesuit. Out there right now is Michael Hall, a sophomore, and that's who they're going after right there, and that's who they went after. Well, look.
Well, Wiley's back in now.
There you go. Wiley's back in now.
Just put him in. So Wiley is back in the game now, but they'll keep it down to Boyd on the field for the run, and he's tossed back. Hits the line, nowhere to go, tossed back.
Right, you can see Michael Hull was the young man on the play previous. They have reinserted back into the game Jakari Wiley, and he looks like he's limping a little bit on his left leg, left ankle.
Carson Schmidt, big number 99 on the tackle, and yeah. Now, you know, he's stretching out. You've got to figure Warren Easton is coming after him, figuring that he might not be at full speed. And guess who they've got against him? Clyde Chris. But Chris takes it to the inside, makes the catch. Now it's one-on-one against Wiley to the outside. He's still up and running with a stiff arm and gets out of bounds, but he's got the first down and moves the chains again for Warren Easton. But one of the Eagles is down. And that is one of the big offensive linemen, Tony Branch.
Here you go. Jailbreak screen. Offensive lineman out in front. Great block. Just took out.
And Branch is the one who's down. He went down after that block.
I'll tell you what, though, that was an outstanding block to spring.
Look, he's still down,
Chris. And I tell you what, that was a great execution of the play.
You watch that block. When he hit the Jesuit defender on that play, he got him right under the helmet. His whole head and everything just went back. He hit him so hard that time and didn't get up off the block. Watch it again. Watch the block.
All right, here comes the block. Right here. Bang. Hits him with the shoulder. Heads collide. Looks like, let's hope that the young man does not have a head injury. He's up and walking off the field.
Good. Had his hands out, trying to protect both him and the defender from that. But my goodness, and they did go after Jakari Wiley. Yeah, there he is. Big number 70, Tony Branch, 6'2", 331, a senior. Not bad movement for a guy who's 331 pounds.
Well, I'll tell you what, he'll play somewhere next year. The way he moves like that, 2-year starter, returning starter, he'll definitely be playing at the next level. Big man.
Well, look, Anthony Phillips, 6'2", 300, a senior. Demetrius Ballou, 6'2", 275, a senior. Gary Trenton, 6'3", 281, a junior. And Sterling Brown, the only other junior on the offensive line, 6'2", and 335.
How would you like to pay for their pregame meal? I couldn't get that out. Pay for their pregame meal. I'll tell you what, I bet you they could pack it away.
Could I do that with your credit card?
Absolutely.
Then I'd do it.
Go, call Phony Hall.
Wow. Starks. He'll just allow himself to be wrestled down, nowhere to go, protect the football, and just let that clock continue to run.
Broken play. Starks opens the wrong way for the ball to be handed off to Boyd. Or Boyd went the wrong way, and Starks did open up the right way. Any way you look at it, you got some confusion in the backfield, and it ends up with no gain.
Warren Easton, 4 touchdowns, but 2 missed extra points allows Jesuit with 3 touchdowns, and having made all 3 of their extra points to be just 1 score out of the lead, 1 touchdown out of the lead. They won't even need the extra point, but the Blue Jays are on defense. That's the problem, and Warren Easton and Tony Hall asking for a timeout and getting it. He is not happy. And the coach who has helped rebuild this Warren Easton football program wants to talk it over with his team. We'll take a break. Warren Easton trying to run out the clock, maybe put 1 on the board. Jesuit trying to stop him, get the ball back. It's a 5-point game. Copyright telecast of the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the express written consent of WHNO TV 20.
Want to make sure that you stay inbounds to keep the clock running. Major mistakes by Jesuit using 2 timeouts real early.
To Boyd on the run, and he is spilled at the line of scrimmage nowhere.
Staying inbounds, keeping the clock run. Tackle right there by Roe Harper.
Brings up 3rd down.
All the way
Chris.
down, and then call timeout.
Clyde Chris is down at the bottom of the screen fold.
Well, I don't think that's the play anybody wanted to unfold. The wise play right there, if you think about it again, is the clock's running down. They take the full there. There's a fumble down there. It's recovered by Jesuit, and it's Mark Beebe making the tackle and recovering the football down there.
And what that means for the Blue Jays is just a little bit extra field position. So now Jesuit has 2 minutes and 10 seconds to work with. They are 5 points behind. They need 6. Ashton Luria is wide to the right side. Hodges will work from the gun. Easton with a 4-man rush. No blitz. He going long to Lipscomb down the left side. He makes a catch, a circus catch. Down the left side, and the Jesuit bench and sideline erupts.
Tell you what,
Elijah Lipscomb, what a catch, Wade.
Well, I'll tell you what it started with right there. It first starts with the protection. Look at the great job this offensive line does. It's a pump fake on an out and up, and great ball placement by Hodges, and then, of course, a great catch by Elijah Lipscomb. But I'm telling you what.
Great coverage by Damian Tate. You couldn't ask for better coverage by the young Warren Easton defensive back.
Good football play all the way around.
1st and 10 at the 28-yard line now of Warren Easton. 2:03 to play. Blue Jays, remember, have no timeouts. Here comes the rush. Screen pass, right side, Rosas, and he is down to the 25, inside the 25-yard line.
Clock's still running. You can't stop the clock if you're a Jesuit Blue Jay, so you got to work the boundary.
Got to work the boundary.
You got to get out of bounds with the ball. Warren Easton, on the other hand, wants to tackle inbounds and make sure the clock keeps running.
Remember now, you're working with an inexperienced quarterback in Peter Hodges, so it takes a little bit longer to get the plays in. Hodges with a low snap. Here comes a big rush. He's got to unload quickly. He's got Malachi Ho, who catches it, and it's just knocked out of his bounds. And deflected out of his hands at the last minute. My goodness, what an almost a big offensive play, and what a great defensive play by Warren Easton.
Tell you what, the ball couldn't be any better thrown by Hannes right there. In the face of the rush, you got pressure coming off the edge. You got pressure coming off the edge by Markel Roby. He stands right there, throws the ball in the face of the rush, puts it right on target, and a nice deflection right there by Damian Tate.
Third down for the Blue Jays. Here's the toss. Malachi Hull with the catch, and he is dropped short of the first down. 1:16. Clock is running, as Wade just told you.
You got to get there. You've got to get there and get to that line of scrimmage.
I'm not sure who got that reach in on that touchdown saving defensive play. And Jesuit tries a quick snap. Warren Easton wasn't in position. Whistles blew before the snap of the football, and that'll stop the clock with 1:01 to play.
Prior to the snap, where they were trying to get the ball off and run a quick sneak because Warren Easton was not lined up and set ready to go, Tony Hull wisely calls a time right there because they had them outnumbered, and Tony Hull wisely calls a timeout. Doesn't make Mark Sanji very happy.
Go back and listen.
Right here, boys, could be the play
Fourth
of the
down
game
and
for
one.
Jesuit.
4th down and 1. Hannes from the shotgun. He will hand off to, no, he will keep. Hannes on the keeper. Hannes to the 20. I don't think he
set up run to Hannes off of the zone read. He was pulling that ball. There was no read on that particular zone read right there. He ripped the ball out. He was trying to get off the edge to pick up that extra yard and a half, and a great defensive play.
And company to stay at home and make the play.
Well, if you look back at the major Jesuit mistake,
now it's just take a knee for the Warren.
They make sure that they don't make those same mistakes in managing the game with timeouts on the clock.
Wow, that is a tough one. Well, right now Tony Hull is waving one of his coaches, assistant coaches, off the field. And he finally got him off the field. Clock is running down. 3, 2, 1. They won't have to snap it again. This one is over. And Warren Easton and the Eagles defeat the Jesuit Blue Jays by 5, 26-21 in a super football game. What a great opener on the first NBC Bank Prep Showcase. This was good prep football. Back to wrap it up with Coach Tony Hull and more right after this.